The giant that everyone forgot. Imagine building a company so powerful that almost everyone on Earth knows your name. A company that controls the mobile phone industry. A company that sells hundreds of millions of devices. A company that becomes a symbol of innovation. That company was Nokia. At its peak, Nokia was not just a phone company. It was a global technology empire. Millions of people trusted Nokia phones because they were reliable, simple, and almost impossible to destroy. But behind the success was a problem that many successful companies face. They started believing that yesterday's success would guarantee tomorrow's future. And while Nokia was celebrating its victory, the world was quietly changing. A new era was coming. An era where phones would no longer just make calls. They would become computers in our pockets. And Nokia was not ready. The rise of Nokia. Nokia's story did not begin with smartphones. Actually, the company had a very different beginning. Founded in Finland, Nokia was involved in many industries before becoming famous for mobile phones. But during the 1990s, something incredible happened. Mobile phones started spreading around the world. People wanted freedom. They wanted to communicate anywhere. And Nokia understood this opportunity better than almost anyone else. The company created phones that were affordable, durable, and easy to use. The famous Nokia 3310 became a cultural symbol. People trusted the brand. Families bought Nokia phones. Businesses used Nokia phones. Entire countries moved into the mobile age with Nokia in their hands. By the early 2000s, Nokia controlled a huge part of the global mobile phone market. It looked unstoppable. But sometimes the biggest danger for a company is not failure. It is success. The biggest companies in history usually fail for one reason. They underestimate change. And that is exactly what happened to Nokia. The company was excellent at making phones, but the future was not only about phones. It was about software. It was about applications. It was about creating an entire digital experience. Then, in 2007, something happened that changed the industry forever. Apple introduced the iPhone. Suddenly, the definition of a phone changed. A phone was no longer just a device for calling and sending messages. It became a powerful computer, a camera, a music player, a connection to the internet. Many people inside the industry realized something important. The rules had changed. But Nokia had a difficult decision to make. Should they completely change direction or continue protecting the success they already had? The big mistake was not that they failed to see the future. The truth is more complicated. Many people inside Nokia understood that smartphones were important. The problem was execution. The company was large. It had thousands of employees, millions of customers, and a huge organization built around its old success. Changing direction became extremely difficult. Nokia continued improving hardware, but competitors were building something different. They were building ecosystems. Apple created a strong relationship between hardware and software. Google developed Android and created a platform used by many companies. Meanwhile, Nokia struggled with its operating system strategy. The company that once moved faster than everyone else suddenly became slower. And in technology, being slow can be deadly. The fall begins. By the early 2010s, the difference became impossible to ignore. Customers started choosing smartphones from Apple and Android manufacturers. Nokia's market share began collapsing. The company that once dominated the mobile world was losing its position. Thousands of employees were affected. Investors became worried. The public started asking a simple question. How could one of the greatest technology companies in history fall so quickly? The answer was not one bad decision. It was many small decisions that added up over time. A company does not usually disappear overnight. It slowly loses connection with reality. The same company that once changed the world became a company trying to catch up with it. And this is where the story becomes bigger than Nokia, because the same mistake can happen to any successful person or organization. Why success can be dangerous. Success creates confidence, but too much confidence can become a weakness. When a company becomes number one, it often starts protecting what made it successful. The problem is that the future rarely looks like the past. Nokia was not destroyed because it was a bad company. It was destroyed because the world changed faster than the company could adapt. This lesson appears throughout history. Companies that once seemed unbeatable have disappeared. New technology creates new winners, and old leaders must constantly reinvent themselves. The biggest enemy of innovation is sometimes not competition. It is believing that what worked before will always work again. Nokia's story became one of the most important examples in modern business history. The aftermath. In 2013, Nokia sold its mobile phone business to Microsoft. For many people, it felt like the end of an era. The company that once dominated the world of phones was no longer competing in the same way. But Nokia did not completely disappear. The company transformed itself. It moved into telecommunications equipment and network technology. This part of the story is important. Failure is not always the end. Sometimes companies survive by accepting that they need to change. The Nokia brand became a lesson taught in business schools around the world. Not because the company was unsuccessful, but because it showed how quickly success can disappear. The lesson for everyone. The story of Nokia is not only about phones. It is about human behavior. People naturally want to protect what they already have. Companies do this. Individuals do this. Entire industries do this. But the world rewards people who adapt. The most successful people are not always the smartest. They are often the ones who notice change early and act quickly. Nokia teaches us a powerful lesson. Never confuse being successful today with being safe tomorrow. The future belongs to those who are willing to learn, change, and improve. The big question? Today, new technologies are changing the world again. Artificial intelligence, robotics, automation. Companies are facing the same question Nokia faced. Will they adapt, or will they protect the past? History shows that no company is too big to fail, and no leader is successful forever without change. The next Nokia could be any company. The question is not whether the world will change. The question is who will be ready when it does. Nokia's story is not a story about losing. It is a story about learning. A company reached the top of the world. Then the world changed, and the company had to change with it. The biggest lesson is simple. Never stop questioning your success. Never stop improving. And never believe that the future will wait for you. Because in business, technology, and life, the people who adapt are the ones who survive.